Good morning, my little human calculators. So good to see you this morning. Yesterday, you, in your mental calculations, were practicing some very impressive things by taking a one-digit number and mentally adding it to a 2- or 3-digit number. And I'm impressed that you did that so quickly and well. So now we're going to jump ahead and we're going to add bigger numbers together. Today we're going to add tens to a 3-digit number and hundreds to a 3-digit number, all in our heads. And I'm going to give you a few strategies for that so that you will succeed all the time. I'm going to start out with this number right here. Oh look, we're going to mentally add tens and hundreds to 3-digit numbers. I don't even have enough room on my board for that. I needed more space. But you won't need more space because your brain is nice and big. Let's first remember that when we're adding things together, it has a special math name. Can anybody think of what that is? When you add two numbers, you find the sum. Let's do our song. I'll put my pen down. Ready? The answer to addition is the sum. The answer to subtraction is the difference. The answer to multiplication is the product. The answer to division is the quotient. The answer to addition is the sum. The answer to subtraction is the difference. The answer to multiplication is the product. The answer to division is the quotient. Well, we're only finding sums today, but it's a fun song nonetheless. You can dance around your kitchen doing that all day long. Perfectly fine. No one will think you're odd or unusual at all. 213 plus 50. Well, some of you just boom found the answer, but I want you to know that there are at least two different strategies to find this answer, so that when you get into numbers that you can't just do it like that, you'll have a strategy to get out of your pocket. One strategy is you know that you're dealing with no ones here. There's 0 ones. So one of the things you can do is look at, you've just got 50 here. You've got 5 in the tens place. So you're going to go all the way to here. And you're going to look at you don't have any to add in your ones place. You have something to add in your tens place. So you can do the 1 10 and 5 tens gives you how many tens? 6 tens. So we know we're going to have 6 tens, which is the same as 60. So we know that our tens place is going to be a 60. Nothing else changes. We don't have any more hundreds. We don't have any more ones. So our answer becomes 200. That doesn't change. Our tens place changes to 60. And our ones place stays the same at 3. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, you might have been going, phew. Let's do this another way with our number bonds that you've been doing since first grade. One of the things that you can do here is you can take your 213 and you can break it into a number bond where you just rip out the tens, because you know you're dealing in tens. If I rip out the 10, I end up with 203. I end up with no tens in my tens place. Do you see that? Okay, so I have 203. And I have a 10. And I'm adding this other group of tens. 50 plus 10 is what, class? 60. So if I have 203, and I added those together to get 60, I'm going to get 203 plus 60. Well, that's easy because the 60 can just go back into the tens place here. We have 263 is 203 plus 60. Same answer. Pretty cool. The exact same way you did this yesterday is applied when you have tens that you're adding. Isn't that exciting? You already know how to do it. Let's do another one. 351 plus 40. At this point, you've got tens you're dealing with. You don't have any ones. So look in the tens place, add your two groups of 10. 5 tens plus 4 tens equals how many tens, class? 9 tens. So 50 plus 40 gives you 90. So I have my 300 in my place value. My 5 tens plus 4 tens equals 9 tens. And my 1 1 plus 0 ones gives me 1. So I have 391. Could I do that same thing by splitting out my tens? Just rip out the tens. If I do that, I'm going to rip out this 50 tens. 5 tens is 50. And I'm going to leave the rest. I'm going to put my 100 where it is. I already ripped out my tens, so that's a 0. And I have 301. and 50 gives me 351. I've pulled out my 50 here. 50 plus 40 will give me 90. So I'm going to add my 301 back in. 301 plus 90, well, there's a curvy road. We'll keep going up. Gives me 391. They match. Either way works. Yay, happy dance, happy dance. Okay, you get to do the happy dance next. I'm going to give you one. I hope you have your piece of paper out. I want you to try to solve this one in your head. If you need a piece of paper to just write the place values down, you can do that. I don't want you to add it up and down. We're trying to do this in our head with groups of 10. Whichever way you want to do it. You're noticing though, first off, your 7s and your 0 is going to give you, you're going to end up with a 3-digit number. You don't have anything to add in the 1s place, but you do have something to add in the 10s place. Can you just add your 10s together? Yes. What'd you get? You should have kept your 200s. You have 5 10s plus 3 10s. Gives you 8 10s. 7 1s plus 0 1s gives you 7. You could have pulled out your 30 here and left your 207, and 30 plus 50 would have been 80, and then put your 207 back in around that. Super fun. Let's do one more. 613 plus 70 gives you, can we just add the 10s? We completely can add the 10s. 70 plus our 10 gives us 7 plus 1 gives us 8. So we keep our hundreds. We have 8 10s now. And we keep our 3 1s. You have to be careful to make sure you don't lose track of your 1s. They have to stick it out. They don't just get to disappear. All right? Okay. That seems pretty simple. Let's bump it up. 10 times 10 is 100. Let's do it by hundreds. What do you say? You said yes. I love that about you. All right. Well, if you didn't, you were thinking it. All right, here we have 568 plus 90. Uh-oh. I'm throwing a curveball at you. 90. Well, we might have to use our strategy that we talked about yesterday, where we get to the closest 10, or we get to the closest 100. It would be really easy. 90 is only 10 away from 100. So if I make this into 100, that's 90 plus how much, class? Just 10. 90 plus 10 is 100. Okay? So I'm going to add 100 to this number because that's a whole lot easier than adding 90, because 6 plus 9 is more than 10, and then I got more than 10 10s. So I'm going to add 100. What's 568 plus 100? Well, that's 668. Perfect. 568 plus 100 is 668. But I only added 90, so I have to take this 10 back out because I added too much to make it easy for myself. So now I have to fix it. 668 minus 10, so we're going to take away one of our 10s, becomes 658. Similarly to yesterday, you can just add your 10s place, but if it gets over 10 10s, you're going to have to bump up your hundreds. Okay, so if we were to do it that way, we could say our 8 plus our 0 in our 3 place value is going to be 8. Our 9 plus our 6, 6 plus 9 is 15. So I'm going to keep my 5 of the 15, but that bumped me up to 100s now. I have another hundreds. So I have 5 plus that other hundreds, which gives me 6. I have to keep that in my head. Either way works. They both match. Whoop! Wrong side of my happy face. All right. Let's try another one. What about 468 plus 70? Which way do you want to do it? You do it that way. I'll do it in my head, and I'll give you 15 seconds to find the answer. You can either make this get to 100 and add 100 to this and then take off the other, Or you can just add your tens together and bump up any hundreds you get. What'd you get? You should have gotten 538. Okay, if you did it this way, it would have been 70 plus 30 equals 100. So I add 100, that's 568. And I have to subtract out the 30 that I added too many of. 6 minus 3 is 3, so that's 538. The other way, 0 plus 8 is 8. 7 plus 6 is 13, which bumps this to a 538. All right? Okay, one more tricky one. 795 plus 40. You go. What'd you get? Okay, let's start with our ones. We end up with a 5. Our 9 and 4, uh-oh. Well, that's 13, so I'm going to add 1 to that. So 7 plus 1 is 835. Or you can bump this up to a 100, 40, and 60. You would have to go to 795, 895, and then take out 60. The easier way is to just go across adding, just keeping in mind, if you have a regrouping, you have to keep that regrouping in your head. It's part of your mental exercise. All right, what if we add the hundreds? You're gonna love this. Now our numbers are gonna get really ginormous. We're gonna go 469 plus 200. Oh my goodness, you're rolling your eyes. You're like, really, Mrs. Lecce? Really? Well, really, we start with the easy ones because, you know, it makes us feel like, oh yeah, we know how to do this. So don't roll your eyes too much. We have 469 plus 200. We have 0 in the tens, 0 in the ones, so we can just add the hundreds. The hundreds place, we got a 4 plus a 2 is a 6. Everything else just follows in line. 469 plus 200 would be 669. All right, that's super easy. You could also pull out the hundreds in this situation. I'm going to just pull out the hundreds. I'm going to pull out my 400, and I'm left with 69. Got that? That's simple. Now I can just add my hundreds. 400 plus 200 is 600. And so 600 plus what I pulled out, 69, is 669. You can always, anytime you see that you're dealing in hundreds, just pull out the hundreds from the other number. If you're dealing in tens, you can pull out however many tens they have from that number. It's a great strategy when you're standing in the store and you don't have a piece of paper in front of you, just to do in your head. Yay! Yes. Okay, 492. 492 bubbles in the bubble bath, plus 300 rubber duckies. That's a lot of rubber duckies. Okay, so how many things do we have in the bath at the moment? We have 492 bubbles and 300 rubber duckies. There's no room for any people in there. No kids taking a bath in there because it's all filled up with bubbles and rubber duckies. So you have 492 plus 300. Oh, well, that's pretty simple because you can just add your hundreds. You're not dealing in any tens. 4 plus 3 is 792. 792. That's a lot of stuff in the bath. Here, you could pull out your 400s. You'd end up with 92. You add your 300 and 400, you get 700, and you pop your 92 back in there into the bath. Big splash. All right, last one to do together. And then you get to prove it to me that you've been paying attention, which I know you have. 287 blades of grass plus 600 wild mushrooms growing on the blades of grass. My goodness, it's a mushy place. Don't walk with your bare feet. Here we have 287 blades of grass swamped over by 600 giant fungi. Okay. 287 plus 600, easy, we just add the hundreds. 600 plus 200, if we were to split this out, we have 200 and we have 87. You got this by now. 200 plus 600 is 800, and then you drop in your 87 because you're adding the 87 that you pulled back out. You guys are doing this. I can tell, I can see you going, yes, I have this, not a problem at all. If you would like some extra practice and you think it's fun, then you can turn in your textbook to the Let's Practice page, and you can do some of those on your own just for mental challenge. Those are really fun. But at this point, you're going to turn into your workbook, and you're going to turn to page 3 in your workbook. It's going to look like this. I want you to be sure that you take out your workbook. Either right now, pause me and take it out, or remember that this is what you're going to do, because you're going to take a marker. Actually, better to just take your pencil. Pencils are better, because if you make a mistake, you can erase it. On number 2, I am not requiring that you do number 2. So you're going to take your pencil like this, and you're going to cross out all of that stuff for number 2. Keep these numbers open. You're going to do these right here, but you're not going to do this section, because this requires that you only use one strategy. And I want you to use the strategy that works best for you to get the answer. So I'm not going to trap you into one strategy. So just take that out. You are going to need to fill in these boxes. You're going to add the numbers below, and you're going to then put the answer, mentally adding the answer, and the numbers are going to get higher and higher, but you're mentally adding 45 plus 4 is what? Add it in your head and put the numbers there. Use your strategies. The first page is adding ones. The second page is adding, all this is adding ones. This will show you a strategy you can use. When you get to page 5, you are now adding tens, just like we practiced today. When you turn the page for your final page, you are now adding hundreds. But I want you to again take your pen or pencil, and I want you to cross out number 19 at the top. Because again, that straps you into only one strategy, and I want you to be open to others, right? So you will fill out these problems right here, because these are all adding hundreds, all right? Take pictures of it when you're finished. Do your work in pencil, not in pen. You can cross out in pen, but your work happens in pencil. Take a picture so that you can smile and say, proved it, Mrs. Lecce, I know how to do this in my head. And I will meet you back here for more math fun tomorrow.